Welcome to the Growing Tall Poppies podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nat Green, and I'm so excited to have you join me as we discuss what it means to navigate your way through post-traumatic growth and not just survive, but to thrive after trauma. Through our podcast, we will explore ways for you to create a life filled with greater purpose, self-awareness, and a deep inner peace. Through integrating the many years of knowledge and professional experience, as well as the wisdom of those who have experienced trauma firsthand, we will combine psychology, accelerated approaches, coaching, and personal experience to assist you to learn, to grow, and to thrive. I hope to empower you to create deeper awareness and understanding and stronger connections with yourself and with others, whilst also paving the way for those who have experienced trauma and adversity to reduce their suffering and become the very best versions of themselves in order to thrive. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Nat Green, and welcome to a very special episode of Growing Tall Poppies. Today, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to pull back the curtain and share with you the heart and the soul behind this podcast and the mission that drives me every single day. You know, I've always believed in being authentic and vulnerable with you, my listeners. So today, I'm going to lay it all out there. My journey, my struggles, and the burning passion that led me to create Growing Tall Poppies. So let's start at the very beginning. For those of you who don't know my story, I've had a long career in psychology and coaching, about 34 years to be exact. A wonderful career where I've been privileged to work with the most amazing people and provided with fabulous opportunities to help people and to grow both personally and professionally. But my path hasn't been a straight line. Far from it, in fact. As you know, I've faced my own trauma and my own battles. Not just the trauma you've heard me mention previously, but significant burnout more than once. And let me tell you, there were times when I felt completely let down by the very systems that were supposed to help people like me. I remember sitting in therapy sessions with my clients, both of us feeling frustrated and stuck at how long it would take to make even small improvements at times, even though we were using all the right evidence-based best practices. Fast forward, and I ended up on the other side of the couch, and I was doing everything I was supposed to, talking about my experiences, practicing coping strategies, but something was missing, and I was beyond feeling frustrated. I felt like I was just scratching the surface and never quite getting to the core of my pain. But here's the thing about me. I'm impatient. I've got ADHD. No formal diagnosis, but hey, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? When I see a problem, I want to fix it. Now, well, yesterday, let's be honest. So instead of sitting back and accepting the status quo and just continuing to do what was recommended, I decided, bugger this, I'm going to forge my own path. No point complaining and whinging about systems unless you've got another way. I'd already explored positive psychology and coaching, and I learned a whole range of accelerated strategies. And after my own trauma experience, I decided to delve even deeper into these areas. I was on a mission to find a faster, more effective way to help more people move from post-traumatic stress through to post-traumatic growth. And that's how I developed what I now call the Accelerated Breakthrough Strategies method. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, Nat, are you saying traditional therapy doesn't work? Absolutely no, not at all. There's absolutely a place for evidence-based psychological treatment and talk therapy. But I firmly believe we can do more. We can do better and keep evolving by listening to our clients, by acknowledging our own pain and our own experiences, instead of feeling that we need to stay silent and keep hiding our own truths about when we're not coping or when something has happened to us and we are struggling too, for fear of ramifications to our registration and our licensing due to having an impairment. You see, my mission isn't just about helping trauma survivors anymore. It's also about helping the helpers, the therapists and the allied health professionals who are out there on the front lines every single day. And let me tell you, they are struggling. They're exhausted. They're burning out or already burnt out. And there's never been such a mass exodus from the helping professions as there is right now. I saw it before the pandemic, and COVID-19 only made it worse. These incredible, self-sacrificing individuals with their unrelenting standards just kept digging deeper and deeper, giving more, even as their own health suffered. And now, well, now we're seeing alarming rates of burnout and chronic health conditions and autoimmune disorders among mental health professionals. So let me share a bit of a personal story here. A few years ago, I was that burnt out therapist. I was working long hours, taking on too many clients and responsibilities, and neglecting my own well-being. And I'll be perfectly honest, it wasn't my first round of burnout. I thought I was doing the right thing, pushing myself to help as many people as possible. But in reality, I was running myself into the ground. I had ignored my emotional pain out of client and organisational obligation, and because it was too overwhelming to face. In 2021, during yet another long, pain-filled night, I reached a turning point. I finally understood the depth our trauma clients truly experience. This realisation forced me to confront my own trauma, to actually lean into that pain. And it took another health scare, because apparently I'm a pretty slow learner, for me to realise that I could not continue to pour from an empty cup. I had to stop before I no longer had a choice. So I did. And that was one of the toughest periods of my life. Not being able to continue to work when it was such a huge part of who I was and my identity. My whole identity was wrapped up in my work. Stopping meant I had to then face my reality, and my body had to feel. Because as we know, our body really does keep the score. And this led to me experiencing shingles 3 times in 5 months, on top of my autoimmune conditions and chronic pain conditions. It was no fun in this period, let me tell you. But I knew I had to write it out. And of course, my brain didn't switch off. It never does. Taking the time I needed was a gift in itself. And I am so grateful that I was in a position where I could take the time I needed. And I knew I had to find another way to help others without sacrificing myself in the process. And that realization became a crucial part of my mission. This is where my mission really crystallized. I realized that to truly make a difference, the difference that I desired to make in the world, we need to help both the trauma survivors and the healers or helpers. We need to break this cycle of suffering and silence. Now, I've been my own boss for almost 30 years, with pretty good reason, as I found it challenging to stay silent when witnessing injustices or mistreatment. I've often advocated for change, knowing that it would sometimes ruffle feathers and provoke attempts to silence me. Yet I realised I honestly can't live my life any other way. And that's also okay, as I'm not for everyone. And I need to be able to sleep at night. And just sitting back and staying silent is not something I'm able to do when I know that there can be another way. So that's a big part of my mission, to change the landscape and provide hope in the field of trauma. Last year, I ran a beta trial of my program. And the results, well, they are impossible to ignore. You heard Alison on last week's podcast episode talking about the impact it had on her life. And while, yes, I was rather embarrassed by her praise, I'm also incredibly proud and grateful because it confirmed what I already knew in my heart. This work matters. It's already making a real difference, and that's what I'm all about. And Alison's story is just one of many. I've had participants tell me that they finally feel like they're living instead of just surviving. They're reconnecting with their passions, rebuilding relationships, and finding joy in their life again. And for the therapists in the program, they're reporting feeling rejuvenated, more present with their clients, and better equipped to manage the emotional toll of their work. One of the participants commented, "I've been in the field for over 20 years and I've never experienced anything like this. I feel like I've finally found the missing piece in my own healing and in how I can now help my clients." I was stoked with that feedback. And another participant, a trauma survivor, shared, "For the first time in my life, I feel whole. I'm not defined by my past anymore, and I'm so excited about my future." So here it is, my mission laid bare. I want to end the suffering associated with trauma. Now, I'm not naive. I know I can't stop trauma from happening in the world. But the suffering that comes after, the way it lingers and festers and holds people back from living full lives, that's what I'm fighting against. And I truly believe that by using methods like my accelerated breakthrough strategies, we can not only help individuals, but also train therapists to complete the process for themselves so they can clear out their own stored trauma and the client stories they have carried, often unknowingly, for years. Despite their best attempts at self-care, at having boundaries, at undergoing supervision, they can also implement these strategies and processes in their own practices. Therefore, we can create a ripple effect of healing and transformation and end the level of suffering that we are currently seeing across the world. Now, I know some of you have been asking, because I've got a number of messages during the week, and I'm so grateful. They've been asking about the specifics of my method, and I promise I'll do a whole episode on that soon. But for now, I want to focus on the why behind Growing Tall Poppies. This podcast, this mission, it exists because I refuse to accept that the current way of doing things is the best we can do. It's not enough for me, and it's not enough for the people we serve. I want to help bring a voice to people who've gone through trauma, who've come out the other side and are doing amazing things in the world. I want to help them to really dig deep and share their expertise, their experience, their knowledge, their attributes with the world. And through my own journey, I've developed a holistic and eclectic approach. I've tried and tested it on myself. I'm not prepared to do anything with others that I wouldn't do on myself. And as a result, I've discovered the power of truly letting go. not just in intellectually understanding our trauma, acknowledging it and the impact it's had, but in actually releasing it on a deep psychological, emotional, and physiological level. I got really clear on who I am, my identity as a result of what's happened to me. I'm not the person that I was before my trauma, but that's okay. I think I'm a better version of that because I can take the learnings from the experiences and I've got really clear on what matters. And that's what we've seen from every single one of our guests on this podcast already. So my values, the people that are important, and my purpose in life. Instead of listening to all the noise and the chatter around us, we can be really focused and get to the root cause of the issue. I know that this is my mission, that I've been called to make a difference on a bigger scale. So that's it. I know that by utilizing my method, I managed to let go of the emotions and the negative emotions that had been keeping me stuck where I was. Having cleared out old emotional baggage, shed intergenerational trauma that I didn't even know I was carrying, and fundamentally changed my nervous system, it felt like my very DNA had shifted. Let me give you an example. For years, I carried this deep-seated belief that I had to keep going no matter what, that I had to put everyone else and their needs before my own. I was the ultimate self-sacrificer. I was really good at that. But I know now that it almost destroyed me. Through my inner work and using the method, I realized this belief wasn't even mine. It was a pattern passed down through generations in my family. When I finally released this belief, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I could suddenly see myself clearly, appreciate my strengths, and embrace my imperfections, and set clear boundaries. This shift hasn't just changed how I feel about myself, it's changed how I show up in the world, in my relationships, and in my whole life. And the beautiful thing, I've seen those same transformations in others who've gone through my program. That's why I can't stay silent anymore. We need to get this out in the world to help more people. I'm committed to running another beta program this year, likely starting in September. It's for people who've experienced trauma and are ready to move into post-traumatic growth, as well as for therapists and allied health professionals who need support in processing the secondary trauma that they have experienced from their work. One of the key components I've incorporated is TRE, tension and trauma releasing exercises. If you haven't listened to my interview with Emmeline Duncan about TRE yet, then I highly recommend you check it out. It was a missing piece of the puzzle for me, allowing me to release not just my own trauma, but the residual effects of my clients' stories that I'd been unknowingly carrying for over 30 years. TRE is fascinating because it works with the body's natural stress release mechanism. It's not about talking through your trauma. It's about allowing your body to physically release the tension and stress it's been holding. And our bodies know exactly where things are stored. And we can learn to read our own body wisdom with practice. When I first tried it, I was skeptical. But after a few sessions, I noticed a profound change. I felt lighter, more grounded, and more at peace than I had in years. And I finally got a break from that brain that just never switched off. So what's the ultimate goal of Growing Tall Poppies, you ask? It's to reach more people, to give them hope, to show them that there can be another way forward. It's about showcasing real people who've not just survived trauma, but have found a way to thrive because of it. You've heard guests like Lisa George, who found her true purpose after battling breast cancer and losing her mother, or Kerry Everts, who had a profound awakening after her heart attack. These stories aren't just inspiring, they're proof that trauma, as painful as it is, can also be a catalyst for growth and transformation. As you know, I've experienced it myself. Through this work, I've gotten crystal clear on who I am, what I want, and the impact I want to have on the world. And let me tell you, once you connect to that purpose, nothing can stop you. That's what Growing Tall Poppies is all about. It's about connecting with real people, sharing real stories, and demonstrating that there is a way forward. It's about taking all the positives, the personal growth, the newfound strengths, the spiritual awakenings that can come from our darkest moments, our deepest secrets. But let's be real for a moment. This journey isn't always easy. There are days when I doubt myself, and I know that you doubt yourselves too. When I wonder if I'm on the right path. But then I get a message from a listener whose life has been changed by this podcast. Or I hear that a client has made a breakthrough and I'm reminded of why I do this work. I want to take a moment to address those of you who might be struggling right now. Maybe you're stuck in the thick of trauma, feeling lost and hopeless. I want you to know that there is hope. Your pain is real and it's valid, but it doesn't have to define you forever. There is a path forward and you don't have to walk it alone. And to the therapists, the healers, and the helpers listening, your work is invaluable. But please don't forget to take care of yourselves too. You can't pour from an empty cup. It's not selfish to prioritize your own well-being. In fact, it's essential if you want to continue to make a difference in other people's lives. So as we wrap up this episode, I want to share a vision with you. I see a world where trauma is no longer a life sentence, something you have to stay stuck in and carry the rest of your life. A world where people have the tools and support they need to not just recover from their experiences, but to use them as a springboard for growth and to choose the future life they make for themselves and really thrive. Where therapists are empowered and supported and able to make a choice, that they can acknowledge their imperfections, their pain and their own vulnerabilities and do the work on themselves without ramifications for their registration, for admitting that they are not okay. And they can then make their own choice as to whether they stay in the industry and their profession and keep passing on their wisdom and expertise, or they can make an informed decision to leave instead of feeling forced out with lack of choices. And health professionals are able to do their vital work without burning out. This is the world I'm working towards with Growing Tall Poppies. And I believe with all my heart that we can make it a reality. I'm on a mission and I really hope you'll join me. Whether it's by sharing this podcast, recommending it to someone who needs to hear these stories, or even coming on to share your own journey, I would really love that for you. Together, we can change the narrative around trauma. We can show the world that it's possible, not just to survive, but to truly thrive. Thank you for listening, for supporting this mission, and for being part of our community. Remember, you are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by how you choose to grow from it. And to all my fellow tall poppies out there, keep standing tall, keep reaching for the sun, and keep shining your lights in the world. Your growth inspires others more than you will ever know. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Growing Tall Poppies. It is my deepest hope that today's episode may have inspired and empowered you to step fully into your post-traumatic growth so that you can have absolute clarity around who you are, what matters the most to you, and to assist you to release your negative emotions and regulate your nervous system so you can fully thrive. New episodes are published every Tuesday, and I hope you'll continue to join us as we explore both the strategies and the personal qualities required to fully live a life of post-traumatic growth and to thrive. So if it feels aligned to you and really resonates, then I invite you to hit subscribe, and it would mean the world to us if you could share this episode with others who you feel may benefit too. You may also find me on Instagram at Growing Tall Poppies and Facebook, Dr. Natalie Green. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to look for the lessons and to learn and increase your ability to live the life you desire and deserve. So for now, stay connected, stay inspired, stand tall like the tall poppy you are, and keep shining your light brightly in the world. Bye for now.